I do support unemployment benefits for the 26 weeks that they're paid for. If you extend it beyond that, you do a disservice to these workers.
That Senator Paul, and possible presidential hopeful here on why extending unemployment benefits actually hurts the people they're helping. Yet another angle in the debate that we're focusing on tonight. And let's bring in our panel right now. Jeannie Zaino, professor of political science at Iona College and professor of campaign management at NYU. Dominic Carter, of course, that pretty face, political journalist and author. Tom Doherty, a partner at Mercury Media and a former advisor to New York Governor George Pataki. And Andrew, you met. Okay. I'm curious the reaction at the Ionas and other places when the pontiff not just weighs in, but says the gap between have and have-nots too big, enough to spark a debate with Rush Limbaugh. I didn't think Rush would take on a pope, but he did very clearly. That's where I think this conversation has even come to. We've got even the church weighing, and then now editorials today saying it's not just the Pope. Jesus would have said the same thing. I mean, it's getting holy on us here.
It is. No, and you know, I think that for many young people, this is an issue that they care an awful lot about. So we do hear an awful lot about it. And you have a Pope who is speaking to people whether they agree or not. And some of them do not agree with what the Pope is saying, but whether they agree or not, it's sparking conversation and quite frankly making the Catholic Church relevant again, where it hasn't been relevant in the lives of young people for many, many years, at least as long as I've been teaching at a Catholic school.
You're pro at polling, and it's hard to put this in a polling question, what this is really about, have and have-nots and where we are, and people who never thought they'd be in the latter category are saying, wait, I'm a little closer to that than the have thing. Somehow, some way, this is going to be a huge election issue for the next few election cycles at least, isn't it?
Yeah, it absolutely will be. And, you know, the question is not does everybody want, you know, to help poor people, but how do you help them? And that's what divides people. And that's where people think the Pope has come down on one side versus the other. And that's, you know, part of what Rush Limbaugh is responding to. It's not if you should help people, but how is the best way to help people? And it's that question that really divides people.
I'm not sure Rush is for helping, but okay, but Tom,
I think
we're going to see this play out. You got the minimum wage debate coming up. You got the unemployment benefits extension. You've got in the farm bill the food stamps issue. The parties are going to be forced to define themselves one way or the other, but on a broader context. You've seen both sides here, and it comes down to, am I my brother's keeper in a certain way, which is what the Pope was getting at. And he also finds it's unhealthy, not just in the U.S., but globally, how far the chasm has gotten between the 1% and everybody else.
I don't know how to answer that.
This is the first?
I mean, I'm sort of stumped. I mean, should we just say that we have too many, not enough A students and too many F students, and let's make everybody C students? Look, we live in a world, as Jeannie, I think, pointed out really the right answer here. What is the right way to help people? Is it to give a man a fish, or is it to teach a man to fish? Should we be doing more on education, on training, et cetera, et cetera? I mean, I think part of the problem we have in our country today is that we now have, listen, Romney was very right in one thing that he said, and it came across in a very bad way, is that I think we have too many people who expect government on a daily basis to take care of each and every one of their problems. I think the Pope, look, I think Rush Limbaugh fighting with the Pope is ridiculous. I don't think it helps the Republican brand. If you want to label Limbaugh in the Republican brand, I wouldn't take on the Pope. I kind of like...
wouldn't call him a Marxist.
Yeah, I mean...
if you took the words out of Pope Francis's mouth and you put them in a Democratic politician's mouth, the reaction would be a socialist, a redistributionist. It would be all of the same things that we've heard attacked against President Obama and attacked against members of the left for the last several years.
Right,
so
and what we have to view is that his view and what his job is much different than what an American politician's job is to do.
But Tom, the one thing I like about all of you guys, but did you read the series about the kid?
Yeah.
Okay. My point is, you can be mad at the parents. You can be mad, understandably, at people who try and job the system to a certain degree, although you're never going to get rich off of food stamps, but okay. But at the end of the day, this kid has to be shadowed when she goes to the bathroom in the shelter because they're afraid of sexual predators.
Right.
The kid lives with 7 other siblings in a room with 100-something degree temps in the room, and they got kids dying next door from asphyxia or whatever it is. The kid hasn't seen one single example of success in her young life, yet somehow this kid, if you read the story, it's amazing what kind she is. this idea that Rush and others perpetrate in the Rand Paul is that, you know what, just pull yourself up by the bootstraps and tough it up. That kid's reality is no, it shouldn't be my kids. And I'm not some liberal bleeding heart who thinks that we should have a level playing field and everybody should start a jump. That's not the real world. But to pretend that that kid had a fair shot at jump is offensive. And for him and others to pretend that anybody who's trying to make sure that the gap isn't where it is right now and that she doesn't have a fighting chance is somehow some Marxist, they're full of it. And I think the idea that there isn't a middle ground here, that's the part to me that's offensive.
Okay, the problem, look, I don't think there's anybody, I don't care if Rush Limbaugh, he's an entertainer, okay? I mean, he's in this thing to get ratings, okay?
Well, there's more than him.
No, but let's not make, like, look, I bet you if you looked at Rush Limbaugh's charitable giving, I bet you it's substantial, okay? A lot of the people that we wind up criticizing, why don't we, a lot of times when we talk about this stuff, we you know, and a lot of my friends on the left want to talk about, well, we have this side and we have this side. Well, if you care so damn much, just give 90% of your wealth and just give it back to the government and give it to help the 22,000.
You're going again to the polars, and Dominic, for me, it's not on one end and it's not the other. It's not the social redistribution, and it's not, you know, cut them off and let them fend for themselves. It's getting worse. It's not getting better. I mean, there was a number here that under the new redefinition of what the poverty level is, more than 50% of people in New York City, in the 5 boroughs, live below it. This isn't a way to run a company, let alone, this isn't a good idea long term if you look through history here. Things get kind of ugly kind of quickly if you keep doing that. You got to figure out a different way. How do you think this plays politically? You're going to have 3 issues pretty soon. Raising the minimum wage. You think the majority of America are raising the minimum wage so that there's a $10 an hour minimum wage in this country, all 50 states across the board. You think this country believes that you should extend unemployment benefits, that if it, 26 weeks you don't find a job, you're not on your own, or do they say, tough, you had a chance? Where do you think the public pulse is on this?